There's a lot of pushback going on in CNN right now.
Yeah, The Intercept broke this, which means that CNN employees are speaking, I think, to The Intercept and just said that, that we are pushing back at the London bureau about the pro-Israel bias in CNN's coverage. And in this Intercept piece, it was also revealed that Christiane Amanpour was a part of the group of journalists and CNN workers who confronted management here. We're seeing a lot of this. There was a video too of a Google employee standing up in the middle of maybe we can play that tomorrow. Yeah. In the middle of a presentation, basically saying, I will not support any of this technology being used for genocide. And so when there is this suppression, it's often employees who are speaking out and trying to oppose what their company is engaging in. And so that's just really the background here for this excellent questioning of Mark Regev by Christiane Amanpour on CNN. And Regev is the special advisor to Netanyahu. He's on cable all the time. And so she asked him specifically here about details about the Flower Massacre, where over 100 Palestinians were killed when the IDF opened fire on a group of starving Palestinians trying to get food. And he basically contradicts himself here, and she catches him in it. It's satisfying.
Back to the program, Mark Regev. As I said, there are disputed timelines. Either the shooting was first and then the stampede, or the stampede was first and then the shooting. But the facts are the facts. There are dead and injured. I think the first question, if you could answer, is who was this aid being driven in by or for? The UN and the normal, known aid agencies said that they had nothing to do with it. Do you know who it was?
I know the following, that in order to help alleviate the food shortage in Gaza, that we authorized in a convoy of, I think, some 30 trucks entered Gaza last night, headed for the northern Gaza Strip. And this shows that Israel is interested in seeing aid and foodstuffs reach the civilian population. Unfortunately, we saw a situation where there was a mass casualty tragedy, where it looked like the civilians were storming the trucks, trying to take the food out of desperation. And people, a crowd was pushing and shoving, and people were killed. I can't tell you the exact numbers. I don't, as you know, don't trust the numbers put out by the Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health in Gaza. There were reports that maybe the drivers were driving over parts of the crowd. It appears to be a tragedy, but I can tell you Israel was not involved directly in any way.
When you say not involved directly in any way, what do you mean? I mean, you enabled this convoy, as you said, and your forces are there on the ground and open fire. They said it themselves. What does that mean, not involved in any way?
So we allowed the aid to come in. We are involved that way. That's our policy, to allow food to go into Gaza for the civilian population. But in the incident of people storming the trucks...
All right, pause it for 1 second. I just want to be clear. That has not been the policy up until a couple of days ago. And the other thing about this, and we'll find out more, but for a month or so, or prior to the past month, Israel was targeting the Hamas civilian police force. Understand that Hamas is basically the catch-all phrase for the Palestinian administrative state, as it were, in Gaza. And they were targeting the police force, who would have been the personnel to sort of orderly hand out aid. Yeah. In the absence of any NGO that the Israelis will not allow bring in the aid. So just to be clear there.
Let's also be clear, too, because there was footage that was released with Israel trying to cover this up. And BBC, which has been very pro-Israel, by the way, analyzed that footage and the drone footage that they released and showed that this is from the BBC. The video released by the IDF is not one single sequence. It has been edited into 4 sections. So they're trying to obscure the fact that there was gunfire and video of it, but the IDF is releasing footage that doesn't show the gunfire.
All right, continue.
Convoy, as you said, and your forces are there on the ground and open fire. They said it themselves. What does that mean, not involved in any way?
So this was, we allowed the aid to come in. We were involved that way. That's our policy, to allow food to go into Gaza for the civilian population. But in the incident of people storming the trucks and the way the truck drivers behaved and people getting squashed and pressed and apparently there being mass casualties, Israel was not there on the ground.
Okay, but they did open fire and people were killed. So I'm completely confused by what you're saying, because they admitted, the IDF spokesman said it on our air, that they opened fire.
That's a separate incident.
Okay.
Not connected to the tragedy of the trucks. That was different place, different time, in the general location, but not the same incident.
Oh, someone's just about to get fired. Someone's going to get fired. Whoever it was, that spokesperson came on. Someone's about to get fired. Go ahead.
Because they admitted, the IDF spokesman said it on our air, that they opened fire.
That's a separate incident.
Okay.
Not connected to the tragedy with the trucks. That was different place, different time, in the general location, but not the same incident at all. And I have to tell you that we are not aware that the IDF fired caused casualties at all.
Well, I can tell you that a journalist who CNN works with on the ground has a different view of it, but maybe there were other incidents. That, obviously, you say is under review, and we will hope to get further clarification. But here's the thing. So,
yeah.
My only note, and I'm sure that she got some good questions in the rest of it, is kick them off the air.
That's the thing, is that there, and this has always been a problem with our media coverage, is that there is no accountability by the media when people come on and just blatantly lie. And that guy's just blatantly lying. He's just blatantly lying. Who's driving these trucks? Are we to believe that the Israeli government, which has prevented truck after truck after truck after truck, that has hundreds of trucks lined up outside of the Rafah gate, didn't know who was driving those trucks? It's not UN aid agencies. It's coming out of Israel. Who's driving the trucks?
Yeah. CNN also did an investigation into some of the items that are being denied arbitrarily by the Israeli forces. They control the borders into Gaza, and they've been turning away aid trucks that include anesthesia machines, oxygen cylinders, crutches, solar panels, ventilators, water purification tablets. This report from CNN was as a result of speaking to over 24 sources, and I'd encourage people to look into that as well. They're denying whole medical kits because it has scalpels in them, because there's a sharp edge that could be used against Israel. They're turning away tents because there's poles that could be turned into bombs.
Oh, well, this is just absurd.
I mean, we know, but that's what they're claiming, right? They're using every excuse to turn away aid, and then we're supposed to, as you say, Sam, think that they
devote time to it.
Yeah.
As we're supposed to digest what they're saying. No, it should be rejected.
Yeah, and I'm just reminded of how that person in the Nat Schwartz, her name, the journalist for the journalist who just got hired in November or whatever to do that piece on rape in that has been discredited in the New York Times. She spoke about the tension between wanting to report the truth and Hasbara, her duty to Israel to present basically propaganda to the West in the face of the attacks on Israel. And you can just see how these Israeli spokespeople really believe that is their duty. They don't care about lying.
Of course it's their duty.
But that is what, I understand, but that's just how deeply embedded it is. Even if the lie seems so ridiculous on its face, it's about maintaining Israel in the eyes of the West, and you have to view every time there's a spokesperson on TV. That's what their motivation 100%.
And even I think that the reason why you see people like Amanpour, I think, my guess, this is my speculation as to why you see people like her being the most skeptical in terms of in complaining within CNN, is that she used to be on a foreign desk.
Yeah.
Anybody who's even remotely familiar with the foreign press, even within the context of Israel, understands that our reporting here in this country is so one-sided. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. That guy's horrible. Wasn't he also the guy who basically was talking about to Jake Tapper when Jake Tapper even got frustrated with that guy?
Yeah.
Because he was, sort of ignoring, one of the CNN reporters got.
But that's a job. Like him and that Ilon guy who's in the UK all the time, and then the woman that they have over there, they're doing the same thing.
It's their job.
Yeah. But it's on the media to be like, okay, how much time are we going to actually devote? How respectful are we going to be to these blatant lies that contradict reporting we've just done?